I do have some great royal news, and this is courtesy of the royal editor of the Sunday Times newspaper, Roya Nicker, who writes in tomorrow's paper an exclusive. After months of cancer treatment, the Princess of Wales, Princess Kate, is now planning for the future. The journalist goes on to say Kate hopes to join the royal family at the cenotaph and host her Christmas carols. Work is on her mind, but any return will be gradual. More on that in just a moment, but let's get instant reaction from my pundits, including Linda Duberley, who of course covered the royal beat for a few years.
A long time ago.
There you go.
But I still pay very close attention to it. I think that she's had a long time off. That's an unexpectedly long time. No one's ever really confirmed what type of cancer she has, but some people have mentioned to me that it is bowel cancer. So she probably had to have surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And
of course we don't know, we can't substantiate that it was bowel cancer, but we do know that she had an abdominal issue. That was official information released by the palace, so you could conclude it could be related. Bottom line is she was seriously ill. As you mentioned, she's been out of action since before Christmas of last year. So it's been a really serious situation. We were told that she wouldn't do any public engagements until Easter. It's now September. But is this the good news we've been waiting for, Linda?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, people, you saw at Centre Court, remember in Wimbledon when she walked onto the court, she got a standing ovation. People are incredibly behind her. They regard her as the antithesis, if you like, of Meghan, someone who actually knows how to behave, who knows how to carry the royal standard forward, and she is very, very popular. But you can see from some of the pictures and the very brief times we've seen her, she does look incredibly tired still.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, Nina, she obviously did that very moving video in which she revealed her cancer diagnosis. We don't know the nature of the cancer, but does this tell us that she's on the mend? Can we be hopeful for the future now?
Well, the cenotaph is November, I think, isn't it?
It is,
so that will have been a year, which is a very, very long time in anyone's cancer treatment. It is good news. The thing is, we have had for the last 4 or 5 years, Kate in the press every single day. The Daily Mail, the Telegraph, whoever, Hello magazine, every single day there's been, and then suddenly nothing. So there is a huge gap there. There's a huge gap, and so people obviously have missed that, and so she'll be welcome back. But it's not a happy situation for anybody, is it?
No.
What's your reading of this story? I mean, we're trying to desperately interpret these few lines from the Sunday Times, their Roya Nicker, their royal editor. But what's your interpretation of this story, Neil?
I think that you have to consider how the press works. And how the press works on a story of this sensitivity. I don't believe for 1 second Roya Nicker would be running this. I don't believe that the editor of the Sunday Times would be running this unless they were absolutely sure it was copper-bottomed. So I think we can take a lot of relief from that.
Might this story have come from the palace?
Oh, I think it probably has,
It could come from anywhere else.
And therefore from the Princess of Wales?
Well, in a sort of roundabout way, I guess. But the truth of it is they would not have run with this unless they got an absolutely gold standard nod. And that's got to be from either the Wills and Kate household or from the palace itself. You simply would not risk a story like this if tomorrow morning the royals came out and said this is a disgrace and an intrusion into privacy, and we cannot confirm that.
We don't know whether
that would kill a career.
Would kill a career. We don't know.
You'd sack an editor for that.
Would you sack an editor? Right. So it could end a career. We don't know the details of Catherine's health or whether she's made a recovery, but we have those precious few words that we've been waiting a long time for, which is the future. And that's what's critical now, isn't it? That she's able to make plans for the future.
Yeah, and I think that she brings such a positivity to British public life. So Nina is absolutely right when she talks about how she was on our front pages day in, day out, week in, week out. And usually she just brought with it a sense of sunshine, didn't she?
Yeah.
However serious the subject was, she brought a gaiety, a joie de vivre,
Yes.
and, you know, she really uplifted our lives. And she also brought with her the children. And that, of course, is the greatest part of this story, that, you know, for her children, the idea that mummy's going to be fine is a huge thing.
A massive story, this. And Nina Mishkov, it's going to get the country talking. It's going to be all over the papers tomorrow when they get their second editions up and running. Why is the country so attached to this young woman?
Because she is the perfect princess. She has, you know, she was kind of perfect for the role. When she and Will's married, it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And suddenly there was this gorgeous princess. She's classic English Rose, and she's never put a foot wrong.
Not once.
She's not misspoken. She's not had a tantrum that we've seen. She's not done anything out. You know, she's the only thing we've ever heard her saying are very positive things about charity work, mental health, and she's been very encouraging. So she's become the figurehead that the royal family needed, and without her, there's an enormous gap.
She's the most valuable member of the... was when she was in the public eye, when we hope that she will return full-time. But she was the most valuable member of the royal firm in many respects.
Really? Would you put her ahead of Charles and William?
I'd put her ahead of William, yeah.
Right.
Sure.
She's box office, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's because she's got this combination of glamour and dignity and intelligence, which resonates with the public. They both respect and admire her, and they want her to be better. They want her to get back centre stage.
If you're just joining us, tomorrow's Sunday Times newspaper has an exclusive. Princess Kate is now planning for the future following her cancer diagnosis and treatment. And Catherine's got a good relationship with the British press, hasn't she, Neil?
Well, I don't know whether that's really the way to categorise it. Your relationship with the British media is how they perceive you. And a basic truth about this is, if you're in the royal family, your behaviour will come out. So they tried for many years to manipulate and stop stories coming out about Princess Diana, about Charles, about Camilla, you look at every one of the royals, and the stories will come out about their real behaviour, like Meghan. Yeah. You know, the British press loved Meghan and Harry.
People forget that.
And then the stories started to come out about her, how she behaves behind closed doors, as it were, with her stuff. I've never heard the slightest suggestion about anything untoward to do with Kate.
And if the story...
Sorry.
One moment, Nina.
I would say to you that if it was there, it would come out.
Yeah.
And it's astonishing how she has maintained this perfect relationship with the British
Well, that's
press.
right, because, Nina, these royals are surrounded by courtiers, by staff, butlers, you name it, security. If they were behaving badly, it would come out, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm not so sure that it would, actually. And I would take issue with Neil.
Everything.
No, not everything at all.
Round two.
Just before Harry and Meghan got married, everything had been going brilliantly. They were the new hope. They were the diverse couple. Everybody loved them. Harry had been the most popular member of the royal family, apart from the Queen, way more popular than William, and way more popular than anybody in the royal family. And when that could not be allowed to continue. So the first story that came out, and it sounds very frivolous and petty, but there was a story that Meghan had made Kate cry over something to do with the bridesmaid wearing tights or not wearing tights. As it turned out, years later, we found out that it was the other way round, and it was Kate who'd made Meghan cry. So I would tell you that these things will eventually come out, and nobody...
That was Meghan's version.
So your family in Team Meghan over Team Catherine?
Absolutely. Always have been.
Do you dislike Princess Catherine?
I don't dislike her at all. I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for her.
In what sense? So what do you mean by that?
I feel sorry for her because she has done her absolute best. She has conformed in every way possible. She's been, give her a gold star for her behaviour and the way she's fitted into the royal role. And I don't think she's a happy woman.
You don't think Catherine is a happy woman?
I do not.
These are damning words from Nina Mishkov.
I'm not damning. I don't think she's happy.
Would you agree with that? I mean, Linda, do you think that's an offensive thing to say about Catherine?
Not at all, because there are times when I think she looks unhappy too. And we all hear stories about things that may have made her unhappy, but we don't talk about those in public. So it doesn't all creep out eventually. I mean, if you think about Princess Diana, there were a lot of stories of her that came out after Lady Colin Campbell wrote her book, then Andrew Morton wrote his book.
About relationships.
Early on, stories did not creep out via the stuff.
Yeah,
not
they
really.
Did. Yeah, they did. Harry Arnold wrote endless stories.
But I mean, how can you say that this poor woman is unhappy? I mean, she's battling cancer, isn't she?
No, you mean before?
I'm talking about before. I'm talking about before. I'm not talking about because we haven't seen her at all.
Right.
I'm saying that I think she's in a very difficult position.
I see. Would you agree with that? Do you think that that there are issues within the royal family, and that it's not only Harry and Meghan that went through mental anguish? Perhaps the Waleses are suffering too.
Well, I think that as Nina puts her hands up, she is Team Meghan. The only person who's ever validated the story that it was that Catherine made Meghan cry was Meghan. That's Meghan's story. No, it was.
It was printed in The Sun about 18 months ago.
Well, then it must be true.
But from Meghan.
Yes, it was not from Meghan. It was not from Meghan.
But is there anyone else that stood up that story other than Meghan's camp? That it was Meghan who was made to cry?
I'm honestly not sure. I'm honestly not sure.
I mean, who are you inclined to believe? I mean, can you believe anything that Meghan Markle says?
Absolutely. That woman has been vilified, like Yoko Ono was with...
Why did she tell Oprah Winfrey that she'd had her wedding the day before the wedding, which was then dismissed as nonsense by the Archbishop of Canterbury?
In her mind, it was a wedding. If you have some kind of...
So she's mental. No. So what you're saying is Meghan is mental.
It's a romantic thing. Honestly, the demolition job that the press has done on Meghan and Harry is absolutely superb.
But I do think they've done it to themselves.
Do you know what, though? I take the late Queen Elizabeth's view on this. Recollections may vary. And I think that Meghan's recollections in particular...
Well, what about this from The Sun newspaper? Sorry to interrupt you, Neil. This is Britta Zeitman in The Sun on the... 21st of July 2022, royal wedding row. Meghan Markle did make Kate Middleton cry in dress row after comparing Charlotte unfavourably to best pal's daughter. There it is in black and white.
That's somebody else. But I honestly, I would...
I think she had a different set of rules. This whole thing about emailing staff at 5:30 in the morning after she'd done her salute to the sun or whatever else she does in yoga, that all of that behaviour was normal to her.
Normal to her, exactly.
But it is abnormal to other members of the royal household.
But let's bring it back to the story that matters here. What is this really about tonight? We have a cause for celebration.
We do.
And I think it's a cause for celebration that everybody can embrace.
Absolutely.
And I think that what you have here is that at the very least we have the start of the story of Kate coming back to
recovery.
Us. Now, what is a truth is there is no magical cure story, because no cancer doctor would say that anybody was cured in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
But she may well be, hopefully, clear, and they will be looking over the next 5 years to see that it has become permanent.
OK, well, listen, coming up...